Good morning and Happy New Year. Welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. It is good to be together, a community of youth, children, and adults sharing the values of courage, reverence, and compassion. I warmly invite you to join the Cyber Social Hour, which will begin 5 minutes after the postlude. You'll find the link at the end of the service, and also it's available on the video notes. Watch the e-news for information about the many activities at the church and online this month. And welcome to our church. Together, we grow our souls and serve the world in love.
Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place, together we make it a holy place. I'm Reverend Jack and my pronouns are he, him. Today's service is a contemplative service focused on self-reflection. We'll be spending some of our time outdoors today. If being outside is calling to you, feel free to listen to that call. Maybe your winter walk comes after the service, or maybe you grab your phone and earbuds and take us outside with you on your winter walk now. Either way, we're glad you're here with us. Nico will light our chalice this morning before taking us outside on a winter journey.
My name is Nico and my pronouns are they, them. I light the chalice this morning for breath dancing in the air. Let's go outside together and I'll show you what I mean. I spend a fair bit of time thinking about breath, both in my work here at church and in my own spiritual practice of Tai Chi. I also spend more than a fair bit of time actually breathing. So I find it particularly magical when the air is cold, it's snowing, and I can see my breath around me. It's a visual reminder that whether I think about it or not, my body knows how to take in what it needs and let go of what it doesn't. I lit the chalice inside just now for breath dancing in the air, but what I really mean is that we light the chalice today for our inner knowing of what to keep, what to let go of, and how to do it. Proved to us in every single breath. Let us breathe our way into the next moment together.
I'm Reverend Roger, and my pronouns are he, him. I invite you to join in the unison opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another. Our opening hymn today is filled with loving kindness. It's 1031 in the small teal hymnal. These are the words. May I be filled with loving kindness, may I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness, may I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease, may I be whole. That's the first verse. And then for the second verse, we substitute you for I, and then the third verse, we. So let's join in singing wherever you are, in filled with loving kindness.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
We talk about altars a lot at church. We make them on special occasions and in each classroom. You may have a home altar or a nature altar outside. This fire here today is kind of an altar that we will use in a ritual later on. Altar spaces hold objects that symbolize what we care about, and sometimes they help us to let go. Today's story is adapted from Jess and the Tiara by Amy Peterson. The day had been a hard one. Nothing had quite gone as Jess had planned. Things were changing around him, and he was having trouble keeping track of what was going on, of what was important. And so Jess plopped down on his cozy bed and breathed a heavy sigh. What does one do, he wondered, when you feel so lost? Suddenly, across the room, something shiny caught his eye. On top of his dresser was an assortment of treasures. Some old, some new. Painted rocks, a pine cone, a couple of folded up notes, polished stones, a few pictures, a dog collar, and a shiny plastic tiara, all laid out on the surface. He wondered what this strange dresser-top collection might look like to anyone other than him. To him, these were the most important items in the whole world. To him, this was an altar. He slowly got out of bed and walked over to his dresser. He picked up one of the painted stones and felt the cold, smooth surface on his hand. An old friend, a friend of his parents, had covered the rock in bright purples and blues and carefully painted a chalice in the middle. Here, the friend said, long ago, this one I painted just for you. How sweet, Jess thought, for someone to create such a treasure just for me. He held the stone tight and breathed in deeply. What a gift, Jess thought, to have this friend here with me now. Jess set down the stone, and his hands held carefully one treasure after another. A pine cone from a memorable hike in the woods with his family, a a note that contained a picture drawn for him by a beloved friend from 5th grade, pictures of cousins that lived far away, a collar from a pet that passed away. With each item he held in his hand, he remembered the people and pets and love that came with each treasure. There had been more items, too, throughout the years. He thought back to the trinkets and toys that once adorned this space. For some of these treasures, the time came when they no longer belonged on Jess's altar. These items had been carefully wrapped up and passed on to friends and family, or sent somewhere else to serve another purpose for another person. Some had even been thrown away, no longer able to be called treasures. At last, Jess's hand found the shiny tiara that had caught his eye from across the room. He smiled. He didn't remember much about his great-grandmother. She had died when he was just 5, but he would never forget when she had given him this tiara. He placed it on his head as he remembered the laughter on the day when his great-grandmother wore the tiara herself, and as she passed it around to each person who sat around the big kitchen table to take a turn wearing the crown. Jess had so loved the shiny plastic gemstones, and so his great-grandmother had given it to him to keep. He had felt so honored to be the recipient of such a special treasure, and when she died just a few months later, Jess found comfort in the tiara. Jess breathed deeply, thinking of his great-grandmother and of her absence. He thought of the tiara and other items on his altar that kept memories present in his room and in his heart. He thought of the items that he had let go of over the years, and how carefully he chose what to hold space for on his altar. Jess breathed deeply once more as he laid the tiara down amongst his other beloved collected items. What a wonder, he thought, to be surrounded by love.
Wherever you are virtually participating this morning, I invite you to center yourselves. Take a moment to take in your surroundings. Feel your connection to the earth. If it's helpful for you, close your eyes. As Nico invited us to do during the chalice lighting a few minutes ago, let's breathe our way into the next moment together. The first part of this morning's meditation comes from Reverend Amanda Poppy. My friends, we have arrived. We are here in this new year. We have crossed the boundary of time into the next year with all its resolutions and plans and schedules ahead of us. Let us pause for just this moment before we boldly move onward. Let us pause to hear the breathing of those around us, to feel their presence in this virtual space, to know their presence in our lives. Let us pause to consider the trees, their branches stripped bare, their elegant architecture on display. Let us pause to feel the spirit of life and love that ties us to each other, that winds its way through our very bones and settles in our hearts. Before we move forward, armed with resolutions that will shortly be forgotten or not in the day-to-day of living, let us notice what it is that remains every year, every day. What exists beyond schedules and months, beyond time. It welcomes us to life, not just the start of the year, but to every day. And let us answer. This morning, we especially hold in our hearts all those in our own circles and the circle of this congregation and in ever-widening circles beyond who are struggling with mental or physical addiction, poverty, violence, oppression, more. We hold all these folks who are struggling, possibly including ourselves, in love. And in the shared silence of this virtual space. I invite you to name aloud or silently name within beloveds you are particularly holding in joy or in sacred support and care this morning. Amen. This congregation is sustained by the generosity of the people who call this place home. By giving to this morning's offering, you are giving life to the programs and services that make this community special. To give to today's offering, please follow the prompt on the screen. Thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life that we live together. The first reading today is Sabbath 1993-1 by Wendell Berry. No, there is no going back. Less and less you are that possibility you were. More and more you have become those lives and deaths that have belonged to you. You have become a sort of grave containing much that was and is no more in time, beloved then, now, and always. And so you have become a sort of tree standing over a grave. Now, more than ever, you can be generous toward each day that comes, young to disappear forever, and yet remain unaging in your mind. Every day, you have less reason not to give yourself away. And the second reading is from Joy Harjo, The Dynamics of Memory, Letting Go. This morning, as I put in a load of laundry, memories emerged from the clothes I'd worn at a conference. All the memories from there were good except for one. The strange attack from this person I did not know haunted me. I had let it go because I didn't want to carry it, only after I investigated my own behavior to make sure that I had done nothing to provoke it. And here it was again, like a wisp of smoke hovering over the laundry basket. Okay, I asked my spirit, what do we do with it? Consider this one your beloved one, said my spirit. I imagined a self that could harbor no feelings of retaliation, the self that loves my grandchildren, my partner, the birds and the winds without question. This is how I was able to love and see her best self emerge. I saw her as if she were me, making one of those mistakes in human behavior that I have made in the past, those that sometimes still bother me after all these years. I saw the pain she was carrying in the dreams that appeared to fail. I wanted the best for her. I put in the laundry detergent, started the washer with clean water. The water took it. It let it go. Memories are like humans. If you pay too much attention to them, they'll act up to get more attention. Depends on the kind of memory. I often return to the Pacific waters for a deep, beautiful blue peace. Sea turtles surface and go under, the rhythm of the paddle hitting the water and pulling matches my heartbeat, which matches the heart of the ocean, the sky, the spirit of the day.
Start where you are, head in your hands, cotton in your ears, stone in your heart. Start where you are, ocean in your eyes. Tears are like rain inside a bigger sky. Oh, there is a change coming on. Oh, there is a chance to wake up to what is going on. Start where you are, thinking you know, falling on your face, you can see the road. Start where you are, wherever it is. Loving can break your heart, but fear will do you in. Oh, there is a change coming on. Oh, there is a chance to wake up to what is going on. Start where you are. Ooh. Start where you are. I say to myself, telling the truth is loving, even when it's hell. Start where you are. Stretch open your mind. Oh, that's how we'll come together. Or can we come together? 'Cause oh, there is a change coming on. Oh, there is a chance to wake up to what is going on. Start where you are. Ooh.
Our Real Work by Wendell Berry. It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And when we no longer know which way to go, we have begun our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings. I'm not sure about you all, but I know a thing or two about old memories and old approaches not serving me well. What better time than January 1st to think about the year previous, or really on any previous year, and think about what stories need reframing. Once upon a time, I had just moved my whole life from the Twin Cities down to Kansas City. I did a 10-month internship, and then I returned to the Twin Cities where I had found a job. This job right here, in fact. During my internship year, I had a long-distance relationship with someone from here, and as my return was impending, things fizzled. I then started a different long-distance relationship with someone who was not in the Twin Cities or Kansas City. The relationship, like many relationships, had its ups and downs, and there was one month where I was feeling particularly stressed. It was the month of the move, the first month of a new job, and the particular stresses of this relationship weighed heavily at the same time. As I was chatting with a dear friend who knew me well, I was complaining about my stress levels and wondering what was happening. She did this really interesting thing and looked at me and said, "You just moved, you have a new job, you have a new relationship. Did you imagine this wouldn't be a stressful time?" Her answer surprised me and made me laugh. The thing I needed most was the helpful reframing that she gave me as a deep and reflective listener. I needed to know that it was okay that I was feeling so stressed in the midst of these 3 huge life transitions. I didn't know exactly what story I had been telling myself, but her simple reframing changed everything for me. Another example of this is actually about a very particular memory I have from my high school years. My father and I weren't exactly close when I was in high school. I have learned that this is a common occurrence. We were such different people, and I hadn't yet learned the gift of celebrating intimacy and connection despite or even because of diversity, whether diverse ideas, diverse beliefs, or even different life experiences. I was a highly sensitive and emotional youth, and my dad rarely showed emotion. But there was one exception. On the day of my senior piano recital, he approached me afterward. Through tears, he told me how proud of me he was. But his tears seemed to scare him, and he didn't stay in that moment, but instead he turned away and retreated, wiping away his tears. For some reason, the narrative that took hold in me from this experience was one of disconnection and difference. My dad and I were so different, and we couldn't even share a beautiful moment together because that moment scared him. That narrative carved a groove in me that fooled me into thinking that my dad and I couldn't connect. We were too different, and that narrative lasted longer than I care to admit. A while later, with the help of a therapist, I came to understand that moment differently. Why wasn't the main takeaway about that moment my father's pride in me? I could have used that moment to understand my dad more and understand how he holds his emotions. I could have used that moment of difference between us to actually understand him better and share more with him about why that moment was so important to me. Not everyone is as comfortable with their emotions or with displaying them, and once I received that reframing, I was able to hold that memory in a different light. My dad was actually telling me a lot in that moment about his pride in me and about himself. I missed it for a while, but then with that reframing, I finally received the message. I reclaimed that moment from being one of disconnection and a lack of communication to one of tender relationality and a high level of communication. In the spirit of this moment, we are asked to think about this next year. What are some of the new ways we can look at life? And how can we create space for those new things to flourish? What are some of the old things that need to die away? What can we let go of? In his poem, Wendell Berry encourages us to let go of ourselves. He says, every day you have less reason not to give yourself away. And in her poem, Joy Harjo encourages us to let go of the memories that no longer serve us. Put in the laundry detergent. Start the clean water. Let the water take it. Let it go. So, this morning, whatever it is that you need to let go, this is our time to do just that. Maybe it's a painful memory that is keeping you stuck, freezing you in place, or asking you to remain small. Harjo says, memories are like humans. If you pay too much attention to them, they'll act up to get more attention. If a memory is holding you back this morning, write it down. In a moment, we'll put it in the fire. Maybe it's an unhelpful narrative that you've been telling yourself or that someone else is telling about you. Today is your chance to begin the retelling of that story. You get to rewrite your own narrative to create meaning out of your life in a way that helps sustain and comfort you. You are not just a character in someone else's story. You are your own storyteller. If an unhelpful narrative is holding you back this morning, write it down. In a moment, we'll put it in the fire. Maybe the thing you want to let go of today is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of past hurts or relationships that soured or ended. Fear is a powerful motivator, but there are so many other powerful and life-giving motivators. Love, connection, promise, hope, community, creativity, and acceptance. If fear is holding you back this morning, write down what it is that you're afraid of. In a moment, we'll put it in the fire. Maybe today is the day you'll be able to let go of that deep sense of regret that has been haunting you. That question of, what if I would have done it differently? Could that have made the difference? Could that have saved him, her, them, me? You are not in control of the people around you. You are not responsible for the actions of others. This morning might be your opportunity to let go of your own sense of heroism or saviorism. If regret is holding you back this morning, write it down. In a moment, we'll put it in the fire. Maybe today is the day to lay down an approach or a way of life that no longer works for you. It might have served you for quite some time, but times change. We change. Best approaches change. If the approach you've been using hasn't been working, why are you still using that approach and expecting different results? Let's thank our old approach and let it go, open to finding a new approach. If an old approach is holding you back this morning, write it down. In a moment, we'll put it in the fire. For our next 5 minutes together, we have a time of self-reflection and journaling. I encourage you to actually write a few things down on paper. We will be using them later for our burning ritual. Your prompt for this 5 minutes is, what old ways, memories, narratives, fears, and regrets do you want to let go of? I'll say it one more time. What old ways, memories, narratives, fears, and regrets do you want to let go of? Well, here we are by the fire. Maybe you have a fire nearby as well, or a candle, or a match, or maybe you'll do your burning ritual a little later today or tonight. We've just spent some time reflecting and writing, and we've specifically taken time to write down things that are no longer serving us, whether they are memories, narratives, fears, regrets, ways of life, or approaches to some of life's challenges. These little slips of paper hold a lot of power. They are symbols of the impediments and obstacles in our living and in our thriving. Sometimes we need to build a fire and burn these impediments. We need to clear space for a new way to emerge, a new narrative framing that is more accurate and more helpful, a new motivator beyond just fear. We might be clearing a new space for our spirits to feel more than just regret. We might need a new space in our present and our future to make new memories. Memories that inspire us and encourage us. Memories that bolster our spirit rather than haunt us. It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And when we no longer know which way to go, we have begun our real journey. So in this auspicious moment, while we are on the cusp of a new year, we honor the importance of making space together. Release your anger. Release your regret. Release unhelpful narratives. Release painful memories. Release your fear. Release the old ways that serve you no longer. Crumple up your paper and add it to the fire. And as the fire converts this paper to flame, to ash, and to ember, remain open to what will come from the ashes. Feel that new space and that new openness within you and around you, remaining open to the new way that is calling to you from within this new year. May this smoke and this fire cleanse us and prepare us for the new year. May it be so, and make it so. Please join us for our closing hymn, Wo Ya Ya, number 1020 in the Teal hymnal. Wo Ya Ya essentially means we are going, and the lyrics are quite simple. Feel free to follow along with us as we sing, and we'll sing it twice through. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within. We will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within. We will get there, heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Wo ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya.
We are going,
Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within. We will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Wo ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya ya, Whoa, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whoa, yeah, yeah, yeah.
With this newfound space we have just created, my invitation to you is to stay right here for a few more minutes, taking some time for self-reflection and additional journaling. What new ways are calling to you within this new year? What new approaches interest you? What new memories do you hope to make? What new stories are you willing to tell yourself, about your loved ones, or even about your enemies? Reflect on the practice of creating space for the new, or just simply write about the new. The music of our postlude will play, and I invite you to write. Go in peace and write in newness. Make it so.